morning, our viewers from around the world, and thank you for joining us on today's edition of the Morning Brief. It's a public holiday, but so for those who are experiencing that, well, enjoy yourselves. And for those who are working, look, keep working. Good morning, I'm Anne Nwawadu.
You know, the holiday is kind of like the eclipse. Some people experienced it, some other people did not experience it.
I was saying, if you're in Nigeria, the only eclipse you must have experienced will be power outage eclipse. But that is if you're not on band A, actually, so.
So there you go. Welcome to the show. I'm Kayode Okikili here in Lagos.
Well, I actually now saw that eclipse in one of the videos. I've never seen it that beautifully captured that way. I think someone in Chicago also, I can't remember the city.
In Chicago.
It was beautiful to see, and the lady was literally screaming. She should be a commentator. What am I seeing? Is anybody quiet? Oh, boy, you know, Americans.
A lot of people were excited.
Yeah, so it was really beautiful to see, but we didn't have the privilege to see it. So, for those who don't know, find out what it is. Eclipse is what eclipse is. So, they say the Earth revolves around the sun, and then the moon revolves around the Earth. So, at some point, they all come in a straight line, and so the moon covers the illumination that comes to the Earth, and we experience that all of a sudden, night or day to night and all of that. So it was beautiful to see. Well, happy holidays to everyone. I'm Jeff Rizzo, and welcome to the program.
All right, so we have a whole lot for you today. I mean, it's a bumper package because you're sitting at home chilling. What?
It's Bukola that uses bumper package.
I don't know. It's my own word.
It comes with the seat.
I don't know.
That's old English. Once you're on the seat,
it probably comes with the gender.
You get right.
All right, but we have a bumper package for you today because you're chilling at home. We also want to make you feel comfortable today. So we kickstart the show from the world of infrastructure, and we'll take a look at issues surrounding the construction of 700-kilometer Lagos-Calabar coastal road with a planned demolition, of course, which has already been announced, of some of these structures, including businesses along the proposed route. I will be joined on the show by the CEO and founder of Landmark Africa Group, Mr. Paul Onwanibe, whose business is directly affected by this proposed project.
That's going to be quite a conversation, trust us. Well, let's move on to other things we'll be talking about today. It has to do with primary education, which is very fundamental. The right of every child is to get that basic education. United Nations Children Funds, UNICEF, believes that providing children with primary education has many positive effects, including decreasing poverty and child mortality rates, encouraging gender equality, and increasing environmental understanding. The question now is, with the obvious gap in the number of teachers in public primary schools across Nigeria, can this be fully achieved, or is this gap too big to close? We will find out from the experts and from the practitioners themselves.
It's a big conversation, but this final conversation for us on the show, yes, there's a gap, but there are great people filling that gap. He's a singer, songwriter, recording and performing artist, and one of the finalists at season 4 of The Voice Nigeria. Martins Asogwa, better known as Marrz, will be telling us about his journey into music, his experience at the Music Talent Show, and what the future holds, not forgetting his fantastic vocals. You're going to be having a feel of that on the show this morning. So brace up, guys.
It's going to be a beautiful time to listen to beautiful sounds.
Absolutely.
But let's not forget, it's a community show. It's your breakfast companion. So CTV Morning Brief is how you get to talk to us right here on the show. So hey, pick up your device, go to CTV Morning Brief on X, and send your messages as well. On WhatsApp, our WhatsApp number will be displaying on your screen very soon. So messages and videos only, no calls at all. As soon as we authenticate those messages and videos, we'll make you, we'll amplify your voice, as we like to say right here on the show. But a lot of things happened yesterday. I was on the show. I was preparing for the show lunchtime, and things were happening in quick succession. It was fun to see. It was fun to see the things that were happening in Edo State.
Yeah, so that's a newsman's delight.
You know, there are days, I call it for those, how do I say this so that everybody understands? You know what they call okporoko, right?
Okporoko, the fish.
The dry fish, yeah. So there are days I call okporoko day. So dry news day. There are days you're scouting for stories to get to find. But there are days it's an avalanche. Right. Yesterday was one of those days where things were happening in quick succession with the Edo incident. And so right now, At least right now, Philip Shaibu doesn't have a job as a politician.
As a deputy governor, he's now a 38-year-old.
Well, he's now a new guy in charge. So, well, at some point we may have to check in on that conversation and find out how things played out eventually. But hey, there's a lot more coming. Anne is going to bring us our top stories in just a moment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Well, thank you for staying with us. And right now we'll bring you our top stories on the morning brief today. What is topping it, of course, is politics. We head to Edo State, where the face-off between the Governor Godwin Obaseki and his deputy Philip Shaibu reached its climax at the State House of Assembly, impeached the deputy governor. Well, this followed the adoption of a report of a 7-man investigative panel set up by the Assembly to probe allegations of misconduct against Mr. Shaibu. Almost immediately, the lawmakers swore in Mr. Omobayo Godwins to replace Mr. Shaibu as deputy governor. Mr. Omobayo Godwins is an engineer with a record of professional experience in the oil and gas sector. He's also been active in politics in his local government area. The swearing-in ceremony was held at the Festival Hall of the Government House in Benin City, the state capital.
I will do the best. It is only when I am done. It is not when I am tired. I will do my best and ensure that Edo is moved from where he has taken it to a more enviable height.
Let's head to the judiciary now, where the Lagos High Court sitting in Ikeja ordered the remand of the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, in the custody of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC. But the court also ordered the remand of his co-defendant, Henry Omoile, in the custody of the Ikoyi Correctional Center, pending the ruling on their bail applications, which was fixed for Thursday, April the 11th. Justice Rahman Oshodi gave that order after both men pleaded not guilty to a 26-count charge bordering on abuse of office. And let's stay with legal matters. We head to Abuja, the nation's capital, where the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission arraigned Binance Holdings Limited and the head of the company's financial crime compliance minister, Mr. Tigran Gambarian, over allegations of money laundering. The company and its executive were arraigned on a 5-count charge before Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court, Abuja. Mr. Gambarian pleaded not guilty to the charges, while a plea of not guilty was also entered for the company. Justice Nwite held that Mr. Gambarian would be remanded in Kuje Correctional Center pending the hearing of his bail application on April the 18th, but that case has now been adjourned to May the 2nd for commencement of trial. We talk politics now. The last may not have been heard about the tussle in the Labour Party, as the Nigeria Labour Congress Political Commission has now resolved to set up a committee to help conduct a proper national convention of the party. According to the acting chairman of the NLC Political Commission, Professor Theophilus Ndukboako, the committee will also serve a reconciliatory organ to help resolve the lingering crisis among members of the party. Well, he was speaking at a meeting at the nation's capital, Abuja. Meanwhile, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 general election, Mr. Peter Obi, says that for Nigeria to tackle the devastating effect of poverty and insecurity, then government must make heavy investments in agriculture and industrial revolution. Mr. Obi, who was in Zaria, where he commissioned the boreholes, stressed the need for government to invest heavily in the north by revitalizing agriculture. Well, still talking politics, some PDP lawmakers in the House of Representatives are now calling for the resignation of the party's national chairman, Umar Dangum, over allegations of anti-party activities. Led by Mr. Ikenga Ugochinyere, the lawmakers questioned the party's leadership silence on the political situation in Rivers State. Well, according to the lawmakers, under Dangum, the PDP has been crumbling, losing elections and even losing court cases.
That role which Nigerians would have loved the PDP to play as an institution, it truly is, has been abandoned for a plate of porridge. A serious leadership would have set up structures to review what, why and how the party failed to win the last presidential election, and also failed to secure majority in both chambers of National Assembly. Rather, the Umar Damagun-led NWC is working to hand over the party to the ruling APC and their agents. There have been agreement of a broad spectrum of the party leadership when it became clear that Damagun was not interested in conducting an election but to appoint caretaker committee in at least 90 states, where the tenure of the state and local government leaders were expiring, to extend the tenure of these officials by 3 months. Despite that decision to retain everybody, Mr. Damagun went ahead and received a list of APC agents and announced them as members and leaders of PDP local government caretaker committee, homes only in Rivers and partially in at least 10 states. Presently, in all the states where PDP is not the governor, Damagun has already concluded arrangement to hand the party leadership to APC. In the specific case of Rivers State, the caretaker committee members from Damagun's office are LUGA chairmen produced by former Rivers State House of Assembly members who, as we all know, have lost their seats following their defection to APC. They have formally left the PDP, and Damagun is taking a list from them to announce.
Let's talk security matters now. An alleged bandit kingpin operating around Zurmi local government area of Zamfara State, identified as Sani Dangote, has been reportedly killed during a clash with a rival group in Zamfara State. Well, he was said to have been killed alongside his 2 brothers and some of his fighters by one notorious Adankarami in Duburum Forest in Zurmi local government area of the state. A top security intelligence around the local government told Channels Television that the gun battle started around 2 p.m., lasted till about 6 p.m., and that duel left several bandits dead. Let's delve into the world of business. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has asked all banks to stop the use of foreign currency denominated collaterals for Naira loans. Well, the CBN's acting director of banking supervision, Mr. Adetono Adedeji, made this known yesterday in a statement. The regulator has already directed banks to trim all existing loans with foreign currency collaterals to 90 days or attract a 150% capital adequacy ratio computation, and that's as part of the bank's risk. Well, according to the CBN, the bank is on a mission to ensure that there is adequate supply of forex even as the Naira is being strengthened. Outsider shows tens of millions of people tilted their heads to the sky, watching the wonder as the day turned into night yesterday. The total eclipse was a phenomenon like no other for many observers. The moon first overlapped the sun in the southwestern region of Mexico before then moving between Earth and sun, extinguishing its light in total eclipse. And finally, today on sports, Mikel Arteta has challenged Arsenal to prove that their Champions League record against Bayern Munich is ancient history, as the Gunners took to seize their own special opportunity to reach the semi-finals. Well, Arteta's side have endured series of defeats against Bayern over the last decade, but expects them to reverse that trend in today's quarter-final first leg. And we'll definitely see how that game turns out at the end of it. Well, those are the top stories for today, but I'll invite Kayode Okikele right now to help us go through the trends. What are the trends today?
It's quite a number of trends. By the way, you've given us a lead into some of the big stories that people are talking about. Yeah. And top on that list, naturally, would be what's playing out in Edo State.
Edo State, true.
Edo State is big in the news, and you'll understand why. So let's get into what you are saying about Edo State in South Nigeria this morning. And it concerns the impeachment of Mr. Philip Shaibu as deputy governor of the state. Let's start off with this one from Najib Bello on X. Najib Bello has this to say about that impeachment yesterday. And by the way, this has been a long time coming. But for Najib, he believes that this should have never gotten to this point in the first place. Says the issue should have not gotten as far as getting impeached. Philip Shaibu knew, according to this user, that there was no way for him to become the next governor of the state. Hey, you never say never. You never know what happens, and it's not wrong to aspire. But then I get the point you're trying to make. And it ends by saying Governor Godwin Obaseki, on the other hand, should have been more tactical in denying him without all of the drama. So, hey, that's what you have to say, Najib.
All right, let's go to Adesegun Adekunle. He says that he was finally impeached. This is so bad for his political career. It is well with all our politicians. That's a good prayer for him.
Wow, that's really heartfelt.
That's thoughtful.
Real_Dr. OMO is next, saying he, and I imagine talking about Mr. Philip Shaibu, should have known that impeachment would kill his political career and should have opted to resign honorably and contest for the governorship on a new party.
And there's a Yoruba, can you read it?
I'll just leave that for, because this is a bit, might be a bit strong, really, that this particular term, as it has been said in Yoruba, but I'll just leave that and leave that to the netizens.
All right, let's go to Comrade Chinedu Uche. He says that Philip was not politically calculative, but the governor defended you as his deputy when the PDP guys wanted to replace you. You should have supported him throughout your tenure and then become governor next time if God wills it.
It's always interesting how political watchers then become political experts and politicians and analysts. And this next one is just in line with that. And that's from 1967 Ruffles. That's the user. It says that Shaibu shouldn't or doesn't know how to pick his battles. And my natural question is, how did you know that? Are you in his caucus? Have you run something by him? But we get the point. Before now, he should have pitched a tent with another party and moved on from there.
All right, this is from Don Osa Obebo. He says that this is unprecedented. Never in Edo State has any governor or the deputy been impeached. Their tenure is less than 5 months, so why impeach him? Or maybe he say end of the tenures.
Yeah, well, it's more than 5 months, actually. The election is was in November this year, so there's still some months after that for the swearing-in to take place. But keep those comments coming in, hashtag CTV Morning Brief, or you can just do it on WhatsApp as well. Let us know what you think about these top stories. Let's move on to another one, which you may have also seen in the news, and it concerns former CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, and it's a Lagos court ordering his remand in EFCC custody. And Tony Kosi, with some figures, says, why can't they give judgment? Must every time be adjournment upon adjournment? And I think it will do a lot of good if people want to get a peek into what happens in the courts. Some of these things should actually be streamed live, so people see the procedure, the process.
It's not just something you have to be fast.
Exactly. Some of these things can be a bit tedious and long-winded, but it's law, so you have to be very meticulous. So perhaps that might give an insight into why we're having these adjournments on this particular case.
Let's hear from Gbenga Giwa. He says that fresh 26-count charge again. Why is EFCC working from the answer to the question? Well, just to do the needful, and if he's found guilty of previous charges, then jail him, and let's move on from there. All this rigmarole is not necessary.
Oh, Beppo Ebenezer is next with this comment, and it's something rendered in pidgin, saying that that's Mr. Emefiele, has not been in his home since he left office. It was from court
to detention. Yeah. Roland Agabi says that the Tinubu government should not allow this man go with all alleged looting. Well, I don't know if that is true, but it said that they should consider all the money stolen. Well, you're not the court, so when those allegations are made and he's found guilty, that's for them to decide.
Yeah. And by the way, just to clear, the election is in September and the swearing-in is in November. So that's
for
just
Edo State.
Yeah, for Edo State, just to clear that one on the conversation. So let's take a look at the next one on this particular post. Yeah, another bill will be granted and the drama continues. That's what this next user thinks, believes. Hey, aren't you preempting the court right here? Who are those that blew the funds with him? Are they the untouchables? That is the question. And I think those are very vital questions to also ask. If indeed those funds were blown. Don't forget, these are allegations until they are proven. So it's innocent until proven otherwise.
All right, so let's round off this session with one from Around. Everround says that a person who enters a public office must remember that there must be a day of exit and giving of account. The world is a stage with men and women being merely players who have been their days of entrance and their days of exit.
Well, there you have it. But that's not all from the courts, actually. There's also another big court story, and this one concerns Binance. Yes, Binance has been in the news for quite some time, particularly in Nigeria. So, from the courts, we understand that one of the Binance executives was sent to Kuje prison, and that has gotten a lot of people talking. Yet again, Binance executive sent to Kuje, and you see this user, Shaibu Master, I believe, that this is hardly surprising. That's what the user says. Binance seems to always be caught in controversy one way or another, and goes on to say, well, you might dislike their antics, but they're a necessary part of the crypto world. So perhaps this is speaking from the perspective of a crypto user and investor in that segment.
Sure. Let's hear from Rita Sunshine. She says foreign investors will think more than twice before venturing into the Nigerian economy. Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, this next one, by the way, is perhaps a response to the back and forth. Why was he sent to Kuje prison and the rest? So you see, Omadele says, is it too important to be sent to Kuje prison? Or do you expect the government to have sent him to a 5-star hotel for incarceration?
50 Kobo, well, I like this name, says that they should extradite him to his country. He should not be jailed here, but trust Nigerian government. They want to deal with him when he's not the cause of the devaluation of the Naira.
Okay. So there you have it.
So many things.
Let us hear what you have to say about these issues. And this next point of conversation concerns Lagos State, but not just Lagos State, even the federal government and a major, will I say, tourist attraction, fun spot in the state. Landmark
resort.
Absolutely. So there's been a lot of chatter around that Lagos-Calabar coastal highway that is now meant to pass through Landmark, and there's been a lot of...
And the other structures that will also be affected.
Exactly.
From that
as well, not just
project.
Landmark. So there's been a lot of talk. By the way, we're going to be getting to that conversation, but let's take a look at what you're saying about that to begin with. So this is from Emmanuel. Emmanuel on X says, the plan to build this coastal road was in the Lagos State master plan from years ago. Knowing this, why did the government approve the building of the resort on that piece of land? Well,
all right.
That's the question.
So this is from Chude Namdi. He says that the Landmark beach is just too good to demolish just like that. Why can't the government find an alternative to solve the Coastal Express issue? Well, we will definitely be bringing you details, and those questions of yours will be answered today by someone who's being directly affected by that.
Absolutely.
Right.
So Adana Papaya says that it is sad. Let's hope sincerely that they build the coastal highway and not abandon it halfway like many government projects scattered all over Nigeria.
And we know there are also talks already between the stakeholders and the government also. So when we bring him on the show, we'll hear maybe the latest or whatever talk they have been able to, agreements they've been able to reach so far. And then Clinton Nelson says that I believe there should be compensation. Well, we talked about compensation sometime yesterday, right?
Yes, indeed.
I think sometimes in cases like this, there will be compensation. But the question now is how much compensation? Is it enough for those people who are directly affected?
And I don't think we've gotten to the point of conversation around compensation just yet. So keep the gunpowders dry. Send in those questions, comments as we get into the major conversations for the day. We have quite a lineup for you. It's not just Landmark. We have the Edo situation coming up right now on the show. So stay with us right here on the Morning Brief. And
yes,
let's get started, shall we?
I denounce in strongest terms the illegal impeachment by the Edo State House of Assembly over Trump-up charges. This is not just an attack on me as an individual, but on the very democratic principle that we hold there. It is a dangerous descent into dictatorship and a threat to the foundation of our democracy. Let it be clear that this impeachment was hushed because of my ambition to contest the Edo State 2024 governorship election under the People's Democratic Party, PDP, an ambition that is a legal right to all citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It's a sad reality that in our political landscape, ambition is met with resistance, and those in power seeks to silence opposition through illegitimate means. I have dedicated my life to serving the good people of Edo State with integrity and honesty. I have worked tirelessly to improve the life of our citizens. I have upheld the values of democracy and justice, and yet, in return, I am faced with baseless accusations and a blatant disregard for due process and rule of law. The allegations brought against me are nothing more than a smokescreen to conceal the true motive behind this impeachment. It's a flagrant abuse of power and a betrayal of the trust that the people of Edo have placed in their elected officials.
The impeachment of Philip Shaibu, whom you just heard from, is perhaps the biggest political story out of Nigeria right now. Omobayo, Marvelous Godwins is now the new deputy governor. He was sworn in yesterday. So things actually happened in quick succession. It started with an impeachment notice served on him after the petition was read out at the State House of Assembly over misconduct bordering on perjury and leaking of government secrets. And he went through the whole. Eventually, he was impeached yesterday, and quickly a new deputy governor was sworn in. That's why we're having this conversation with the majority leader of the Edo House of Assembly, Mr. Charity Agubari joins us via Zoom. Mr. Charity, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Good morning. Thank you so much. Good morning, Nigeria.
Well, I can see that Edo has a new deputy governor, and before I take your reaction on all what's played out yesterday, not too long after I was sworn in, the new deputy governor, Mr. Philip Shaibu, the former deputy governor, as you can see, made some statement, and I want to relate some of the statement to what happened in the House. He said that history would judge you people at the House quite harshly for not standing against what he considers degeneration into dictatorship. How would you respond to that?
I would say that history will judge us very, very well, but in the positive. History will judge us as those caliber of upright men, people who know their audience and who know their legislative responsibility, and who took it up at a time it was needed most in the annals of Nigeria. History will judge us as men who know the distinction between legislative duties, executive functions, and judicial oversight in society. History will judge us as those class of men who know that a man who is in a position of governor or deputy governor operating an immunity that is almost exclusive under Section 308 of the Constitution needs to be guided so as it was not take over under Section 188 of the Constitution with the data of impeachment if the person behaves in a way that puts society in disrepute and puts his office in a state that the minute who carries on as if he is Lord unto himself. The drafters of our constitution were not foolish when they decided that we are giving you this privilege of immunity, absolute immunity from civil and criminal responsibility. But because power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, the same constitution also provided for a way to caution an occupant of that office, whether governor or deputy governor, whether president or vice president, by way of an impeachment provision in Section 188 of the Constitution. And I tell you that the Edo State House of Assembly parades some of the best caliber of legislators in Nigeria, being people that have made their mark in their professional calling and have done so well in their personal pursuit of life. Now we have taken the responsibility to carry the destiny of Edo people on our shoulders. By being a house not only to make laws for the country and for the state, as we are already doing, and which we are doing very effectively because of the results that have been shown out over the
Majority Leader, if I may just come in quickly here, I get the background you're laying, but the crux of that impeachment process was you accused him of perjury and leaking government information. Are you saying that he's been found guilty of that? What exactly did you find so we can know why you instituted this impeachment in the first place? So the committee submitted its findings. What did you find? Did you find him guilty of those accusations?
Okay, let me make a distinction here. A legislative proceeding for impeachment is not the same thing as a court process for this. What we are looking for is not this. It is whether allegation is proved. What is the allegation? You see, they gave it a tag that makes people now start looking like, oh, we are doing a criminal prosecution. What we are doing is not a criminal prosecution. What we said is that the former deputy governor, Shaibu, filed a suit where he alleged that he has been stopped from attending the executive function, that is the state executive committee, which was every Wednesday in Edo State. And that before that is after he tried it, the day he returned was 17th of July, 2023. On the 19th of July was indicted. He is evident that he attended the meeting. So if he is saying that he was not allowed to attend the executive meeting, whereas he attended even 2 days after this allegation was made, is that not a falsehood? So when you say falsehood, for the purpose of disrupting the government, because the government is not just about the executive, it's about the whole government of the state, including the legislation. So that was one of the allegations. The second allegation was that in that process, it disclosed very sensitive. If you see those things that being disclosed for public play, you will be shocked yourself. Things that are bordering on security of Edo State, things that are bordering on the health, the financial health of Edo State, those things that came to his knowledge just because he's deputy government, because any other state would not have had access to that those information. And those information have to be preserved. So we said that by doing that, look at the 2 points. By doing that, he has brought the state into his revenue.
So you're saying, Majority Leader. Right. So Majority Leader, you're saying.
In accordance with section 188 sub 11, not in accordance with the law or with criminal intent.
Right.
In accordance with section 188 sub 11, which says that it is the state house of assembly that determines.
I understand that, Majority Leader. So you're saying that those reasons for him saying he was not allowed to attend a meeting which he considered a lie or perjury, and some of the things he said concerning security and the financial health of the state, those were enough reasons to remove him from office.
You said what?
So I said that those reasons which you gave, saying that he was not allowed to attend a certain meeting or function which you consider a perjury, and him disclosing security issues and financial health of the state,
yes,
you consider those reasons enough to remove him as deputy governor, bearing in mind that some will say, well, politicians, those in government from time to time, tell things and they don't even fulfill them. So they consider that a perjury against the people in the first place, and they are never impeached for that reason. So you consider those things enough to remove him from office?
Well, I think it is in this regard. Section 188 sub 11 makes the function of what is just disclosed very subjective. It is not put on an objective scale. Whether if you apply it here, it will work, or whether if you apply it there before. What is just misconduct in section 188 sub 11 of the Constitution is what the State House Assembly thinks is just misconduct, or the National Assembly thinks is just misconduct. The disclosure of those security threatening facts in the public, in the thinking of the Edo State House Assembly is just misconduct, and we brought it out, alleging this, and we gave him notice, we gave the former deputy governor notice that this act that we have done to us is just misconduct. Come and explain to us. If you should come, a panel was set up by the city, another arm of government, made up of 7 independent men, and he was also invited. He sent his lawyer to say that he has tried the suit in court, and he refused to answer to that. And the county turned out a report that on the ground of what, on the ground of disclosing public official security, that ground is proved. What happens is that the panel of 7 independent men, or rather persons, found him as violating his oath of office that he will keep the information that comes to his notice as deputy governor secret. But on the area that he gave false information, they said that there was no intent to perjure. So because there was no intent to perjure, that aspect of it was not proved. But for the area that bordered on official secret disclosure, they said that it was the area was closed. So what I'm using the word is that it's not a function of the case. Yes, they said the same set of facts can constitute a criminal allegation for prosecution in court. But this is not a court prosecution. This is a legislative process.
Majority Leader, I mean, anyone who wants to ask, I mean, I remember there were apologies made by Mr. Shaibu, there were resolutions, and somehow we thought things were getting better. Do you think there was no other way to resolve this issue? What could he have done differently to avoid this impeachment? Was it necessary at this time?
Well, the only way to avoid impeachment is for him to have gone out to answer to the allegations against him. If he has come to the House of Assembly, for example, and explained the reason why he exposed official secrets, to the satisfaction of the House members, the matter will be dropped there and then. Or if after the matter was spread to the panel level, the panel of 7, he has appeared before them to say, oh, these allegations are not actually offensive. Yeah, I didn't intend to bring the state to disrepute. What I did was justified, and he gives his justification. He will be let off the go. But instead, he treated both the House of Assembly and the panel set up by the CG with ignominy. What did he do? He went to the court, to the panel, to intend to intimidate them with filing a suit in court. A suit that was filed after the panel was constituted in flagrant disregard of the provision of the Constitution that set up the court. I think it needs to think that the court is the master of the legislation. So if you go to court, you have to come to the legislation.
If I'm in Boston, Majority Leader, if I'm in Boston, there are those, when they look at the provision of the Constitution 188 that you are citing, subsection 11, what constitutes misconduct, and which is technically subjective to the decision and the deduction of the State House of Assembly. They may argue that it may be the Assembly grasping at straws, because this steals off from the disagreement between him and his principal over succession issues. But don't you think the reason why he decided not to show up or decided to put up a lawsuit is because Abinishi knew that this is going to be against him at the end of the day, given the quick succession of how things happened yesterday? In 30 seconds.
Well, he should have known that if there's anywhere he will be protected in Edo State as the former deputy governor, State House of Assembly, because ours is the only state of assembly in Nigeria that pride itself with autonomy, because by virtue of section 121 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the State of Demolition pursued the fund management bill, which was passed into law and was accepted by the government. And upon assent by the government, the House of Assembly is financially independent. So we do not even depend on the nod of the executive to operate. So he said as a former member of the House of Assembly, she should have faith in the House of Assembly. They are coming to present, but this has been the past now. He did not have faith in us. He did not come to us to justify his action. And the process has to follow. And I must tell you that the process that led to his impeachment yesterday was very, very clean, very, very circular, and his impeachment is unimpeachable.
All right. Majority Leader, there's something that is a fact that's on record. While he's been impeached, a new deputy governor is now in place. We never heard from his own side of the story as far as that panel is concerned. But hey, this is politics that plays out. We must thank you for coming on the program, and we wish Edo people the very best at the end of the day. And we see that it's a continuous conversation. So we maybe get to hear from Mr. Philip Shaibu a lot more than the recording he did and the House of Assembly, and see how this politics pans out eventually as the state heads to another election to vote for a new governor. Charity.
Thank you very much for giving us an opportunity to eliminate. I'm happy that you are able to also make some clarification because the first around there is so much. All
right, Charity Agwabari, Majority Leader, Edo State House of Assembly. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
You are blessed, brother.
Well, from the politics of Edo State, we'll switch gears now to that very controversial issue around the Lagos-Calabar coastal road that will eventually affect some businesses across states. But the one in focus is the Lagos Park right here. The CEO will be talking to us after this break. Join us again.
All right, welcome back. We're still here, and we are going to our next discussion, which is about the construction of the Lagos-Calabar coastal road, which had been planned by the federal and state governments. A planned demolition of some structures have already been announced, including businesses along that proposed route. But we'll go live now to Oniru in Lagos, where our correspondent Kelly Egiga is standing by to give us an update of what is happening around. Hello, Kelly. It's good to have you. What is going on at the moment?
Right, Anne, Jeff, and Heide, good morning to you, Nigerians. Precisely, our location is the very popular landmark beach. And maybe on a lighter note, Anne, Jeff, and Kayode, I feel for you three in the studio because I am right here at the landmark beach, which has a lot of beauty and nature. And I tell you what, it's really been amazing the past 1 hour since we arrived here. But I mean, let's get more serious now because we're here to work and not to unwind. So for many Lagosians and Nigerians, it came as a shock and surprise that some sections of this beach is going to be demolished any moment from now. And I'm going to just do our viewers some of the markings we have seen here at the beach. Take for instance, just towards my right there, the camera can pan over there. You can see some structures there which has been marked ROW, simply means right of way. And so it tells you that the Lagos-Calabar coastal way somehow is expected to go through this particular beach, which tourists from all around the world sometimes come to Lagos and they always want to visit here. So we've seen structures like that. In fact, as a matter of fact, I can say that for buildings or structures, facilities from somewhere, this stretch are all going. But let's also do our view as what we mean by what exactly is also going on here. Let's pan towards the beach itself, where we can see a dredging machine facility has only just arrived a few seconds ago, ready to go ahead with dredging we can see that this sand filling has been ongoing for quite some time now as work intensifies here at the landmark beach resort. But interestingly, guys, for the over 3,000 staff who earn a living, vendors, investors who earn a living on a daily basis from here, it's a devastating and terrifying news for them, guys.
So, I mean, we see the work being done on the one hand, and we can even, I mean, places very quiet, so it speaks of perhaps a despair on the part of the owners and the employees there. Just how much time do they have by the movement and what you have heard for the state government and federal government to move in and begin that work? How much time do they have?
All right, so when we visited this area over the weekend, we're told that they got a 7-day notice to move or leave. And I called attention to the right-of-way markings on the wall. For those who are familiar with engineering, normally when such markings are carried out, a date is supposed to be on that wall to tell when it was done, and then what government agency or parastatal carried out such a marking. But one of the controversies is that this right-of-way has no government agency to tell you who has marked this and when it was marked or when they have to leave. So they were given a 7-day notice. I think that 7 day has expired because they got that notice, I think, sometime around last week. So it has expired by my calculations. But work is ongoing here because we can also see some caterpillars far away from here. We're also sand filling. I don't know if the camera lens can capture that for us, or perhaps we have our drone view for our viewers. So
all right, Kelly, thank you very much. And take as much fresh air as you can before you get back. But thank you so much for that observation at the Landmark Beach. Well, talking about the Landmark Beach, we have the CEO and the founder of Landmark Africa Group, Mr. Paul Onwanibe. He's directly affected by this. I mean, we showed you structures that have already been marked by government, set to be demolished, and we saw Kelly Agiga showing us the whole stretch that might be affected by this. So we now speak with someone who has been directly affected by this, Mr. Paul Onwanibe. Thank you very much for... Okay, I guess we'll get him very soon, very shortly. But I mean, we've been talking about this, and I'm sure we would like to hear from someone who has already felt the pulse, who knows what this is going to do to him, to those who he has employed. Mr. Paul Onwanibe, thank you so much for joining us on the morning brief. Okay, finally you're here.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So I'd like to know, I mean, hearing you yesterday, you talked about this being mixed feelings for you. Somehow a good thing, somehow not so good, especially because we know that you have employed over 3,000 staff who will be affected by this. How do you really feel about this demolition?
Well, it's very difficult to describe, but let me try to create the sentiment from it. So Landmark is a business I started 27 years ago. I started it in Europe, went to America, came into Africa, and made a debut in Nigeria in 2003. And we bought this site in 2007, so a good 17 years ago. Over the period of time, we sold our European and American business, introduced all the money into Nigeria. I have borrowed and raised capital in excess of $100 million. So it's my life's work. So there's that emotional part to it. And that's quite painful because I'm back to Nigeria all the way. So to do that, I've received thousands of calls from people and thousands, goodwill messages, people I don't know. I've had 3 presidents in Africa call me. I've had 2 former presidents. It's painful. Having said that, this is something we recover from for the simple reason that, we are having discussions. the government at all levels have confirmed that they're going to support businesses. We're looking for FDI injection. So I do believe that we will resolve this. But my initial emotions were that of serious concern, grave concern, and pain.
All right, let's get to some facts, because I saw that about maybe 14 businesses will be affected in that area. And we know the numbers when it comes to your business in terms of your investment with employees directly and indirectly, and the number of tourists that comes through, especially your 2023 record. But let's talk about this particular project. As at the time you were purchasing the portion where you're doing your business, were you aware that this is going to be routed through the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road will somehow affect the area where you're doing business now, or this is a new development for you? We need to get that across to the public.
So it's a new development, and I think all you have to do is line up the dates. We bought the site in 2007, and the Coastal Road project is a project that happened a few years after that. And it was on the Water Corporation Road, the road that was designed as the Coastal Road exists. If you show aerial pictures, you will see that. And we are ground zero of this Coastal Road project. This is where the Coastal Road starts. So the Water Corporation Road, the alignment is there, the feeder roads have been done, and you probably know, I don't know whether you've been here before, but you probably know that over the last sort of few years we have, appealed, the federal government kindly repaired the feeder lanes for that road. You can see it behind those towers, right? So all of a sudden, there is a move. So that's the Water Corporation Road on the right. You can see the median in between, which is where the Coastal Road was meant to be. So that realignment, for some reason, has just been moved straight to our beachfront. And then after it runs through Landmark Beach, it then veers back onto its original route. So that's why we feel that there's a solution, and the solutions here are simple. So you can imagine why I have some concerns.
I understand, and for proper perspective for the public, I hope that we're going to put this out at some point. There was an original one that is supposed to be behind where Landmark is located. So this is coming in front or directly cutting across Landmark. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it's the other way around. There's an original coastal road that is right in front of Landmark on the existing road infrastructure. So the existing road infrastructure has a median somewhere between 40 and 50 meters wide, yes, between the two roads that run in front of Landmark and that come off Legale Yorinde. This road has been moved at some point, I understand a few years ago, to the beachfront of Landmark.
So let's take a look at that particular, the plan, which you said was what was obtainable before and what it is now. So the yellow line is what it is now, what the plan is now. But the green is what it used to be, which you said it was before. And we see the green goes just right behind your business area. And that's where you talk about the Water Corporation median and the rest. And the yellow, which is now the new one, passes right smack in the middle of your business area. But the question is, because we've raised these issues with government as well, behind the scenes, and they said there's meant to be a setback from the coastal body of about 50 meters, right? So your business, does it acknowledge, or does it take into consideration that setback? Are you set back 50 meters away from that water body?
So let's again examine the facts. It's really not as simple as that. In that we bought the site in 2007. We have to put this in perspective. And in that time, we bought a beachfront waterfront site in 2007. At different points in time, the water line has moved. My understanding, there's 140 meters setback on the borders of the Nigerian borders that the federal government controls. So we have built our site. We have procured, you can see to the top right corner, a building literally that's being built now. It's on the 12th floor, it's the 28th floor. We call it the Landmark Water View. So we built everything within the allowable setbacks. We received the planning permission from that barely 9 months ago. We're on the 12th floor already. So I'm not quite sure what you're saying, but by and large, since 2007, we've had 4 different planning consents, and every time that has been given to us, we haven't operated in the dark. We've been here for 17 years. We've invested. Various officials across the world have been here. We've had celebrity events here. I'm sure everybody knows Landmark, and that's probably why I'm receiving a number of calls.
Well, everybody doesn't just know Landmark. Majority of people love Landmark, absolutely. But it's also important to put the facts out there so we weigh the issues and make the right decisions about this, because there's a lot of things going out there in the public, but you are in a position to give us the facts such that even government and those who are in the mix, they know what position you're at, they know what you've done up until this point, and then we can take the appropriate decision. So speak to us about the setback and the process you have gone through, because some people have thought maybe you found a way to grease palms and you got approval behind the scenes, and then that's why this is happening. But you have been at this for, is it almost 20 years now or more? And you have gone through a process in the public glare. So tell us the approval, by the way, for this new building as well. Tell us if you'll be affected, what approval you got, who gave you the approval. Let's lay all of these things bare.
Okay, so approvals are given by Lagos State. And I don't think anybody in Lagos State will deny that. I think all the questions, some of the questions regarding approvals and details are literally for Lagos State rather than for me. But there are no disagreements in that respect, and I'm yet to hear any. We've had 4 different approvals. So the facts, 2007, we bought the land. Our first approval was for the first tower, the one I'm sitting in now, the 11th floor tower. The second approval was for our convention center and the Hard Rock Cafe. The third approval was our Rita Boulevard just before COVID. The fourth approval was for this tower you're seeing, which was barely 9 months ago. You may recall during COVID, we hosted the isolation center here, and we were closed for about 2 years. We made our own effort to bridge the gap of health that was required then, and we did that in association with the Lagos State government. So I think over a period of time, I think it stands to reason that to build what we've built here, to provide the services we've provided here, to pay the taxes we paid here, we've been supported by the state government, and I don't believe that support is waning. I think it's still there. And you're right.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, you're right. There's a lot of sort of stuff out there, and I don't really want to be used as a political football. This is serious business. These are people's lives. There are well over 3,000, approaching 4,000 people that are directly employed within this ecosystem. There are over 84 businesses. There are actually families that are affected. When I brought my funders here to raise additional capital to develop this speech about 7 years ago, one of the funders basically said that almost every square meter of this site is feeding a family. I mean, you have to come here to understand, and I appreciate you saying that you don't just know it, but you love it. And we hope to continue to provide those services to everybody around the world that comes here during the holiday periods, and the local people who are around now on a daily basis. We get a lot of people who come here, well in excess of 3 million people every year.
All right, Mr. Onwenibe, you said you're already in talks with the federal government and to avoid this demolition, but have you been giving any reason why this plan was changed? Has anything been said to you about going from a straight line to coming down to where your own property and facility is? Have you been given any reason why this change was made?
No, I have no idea.
Okay. All right. I guess you're still in talks with the government, so hopefully this will be resolved. Whatever decision made, we definitely will know about this. But I think Jeffrey wants to...
But I want to find out from you. I know that we had read, so this is the time for you to clearly tell us. He said he wanted them to go back to the original, maybe a diversion of about 1.5 kilometers. So put it on record, what exactly would you want from the government? I know that things like this, there are compensation and all of that. I doubt if you want compensation, but if you want compensation, let us know. What exactly would you want in this conversation you are having with government, the way forward?
So, number one, I want this Lagos to Calabar coastal road built. I think it would do wonders for tourism. Albeit I may argue with the style of the roads. I mean, most coastal roads are scenic. They're 1, 2, 3 lanes. They weave in and weave out. They sort of avoid things. But you know, by and large, the idea of a coastal road, and we've seen many of them. We've seen the Pacific Coastal Road, West Pacific in California. We've seen the North Atlantic, the Mifi. I've forgotten the one called around Cape Town. And there's so many, and I've studied them. They take 15, 20, sometimes longer to build, right? But that's not the point. The point is that it's always good for tourism. So coastal roads are there to enhance tourism, not destroy them. So I believe that a whole series of tourism and hospitality and leisure outlets that go along that coastline will be enhanced and more will develop. And as we know, the hospitality and tourism industry employs 1 in 10 people on planet Earth. The barriers to entry are low. The economic activity is extremely high. It will replace oil. So we want it built. So that's number one. Number two, we want to survive. We want this to not just make us survive, but thrive. So we want the coastal road not to run right through the middle of Landmark, but we want it to run in its original position so we can get the benefits of it, and the people who visit and the families who are employed through here and the tax we pay will continue. Our business here is about bringing people here, giving them a great time and making sure they tell other people. And that's literally our 3-stage strategy. Number 3, I would like to, and you know, it's on record, work with this government and all the stakeholders across the coastlines, across Africa, you know, to make Africa the #1 tourist destination around the world. As I said, 3 presidents have called me. 2 of them we've been in discussions with to replicate what we've done here in Lagos in those countries. And there's simply no reason why West Africa shouldn't provide some of the tourism destinations. It's funny, really. The day I got called regarding from my team, saying there were people on the side measuring for the coastal road. It was about 3 weeks ago. My brother was celebrating his 60th birthday. I was on the Caribbean islands, and it's amazing the amount of tourism and the amount of money that's brought in by Western nations and families that participate in tourism. I mean, even you go to countries like Gambia, tiny little country, and they're on the cruise for this. And I've been there a number of times because they're talking to us. So there's just a number of things that we can do, and I really like to work to ensure that actually happens, and it'll be for the benefit of West.
And I imagine that there's a meeting that's probably going to happen in the coming days between you, government, and stakeholders on this one, which we're, of course, following. But we see that there are heavy-duty machines now on site. Our correspondent reported earlier on they're all across, some dredging, some getting some sand and the rest. And you've said that this is difficult for you to put words to. So I can only imagine how you feel. It looks like they're closing in on you, but you're still trying to ensure that at least they give you some breather. So you have your beach resort, Kids and Bay Area, Members Area, Lagos Beach Club, Hangout Lagos, Island Breeze Paintball, and the rest. There's that list on the removal notice by the Lagos State government of the business areas that will be affected. And it's not just yours. Now, we do not know why that was rerouted from the original plan by JB, now High Tech. But I'd like you to speak to this on a final note. The cost of now rerouting it to the route which you would prefer, do you think the cost will not also be as much as if you were to go through those business areas? Again, we don't know why. It may be a cost, it may be as a result of civil engineering reasons. But when you think about the cost, which do you think will be more, yours or the original route?
Well, maybe you tell me. Enhancing an existing road and building a brand new road of water and sand. You tell me, which one do you think is cheaper?
All right, thank you. All right, thank you very much. We hope that this gets resolved for you and, of course, for all those businesses that have been affected. We've been speaking to Landmark Africa Group founder and CEO, Mr. Paul Onwunibe. Thanks a lot for your time on the morning brief, and we wish you the very best.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your wishes.
Okay, we move to education, but that's in just a moment. We have more for you, so please stay where you are.
There's a lot of talk about security for schools, safe school initiatives. I mean, we've seen spate of kidnappings in schools. And yes, we need to talk about security. But also what happens in those schools? The quality of education, particularly teachers. You've seen those figures that talk about the dearth of teachers in our public primary schools. That's at the very base. You can only then imagine what will happen to those same students when they get to secondary and hopefully tertiary institutions. When the foundation is not laid well, you can only imagine what the building would look like. So yes, there's a lot of conversation around infrastructure, politics, but let's talk about that all-important topic, education, this morning. Now we have joining us on the program this morning the National President, Nigeria Union of Teachers, as the Vice President, Education International West Africa Region, and Deputy President of the NLC, Comrade Audu Amber, joins us virtually on the program this morning. Comrade Amber, it's good to have you on the morning brief.
Thank you for having me, and you're welcome.
Yeah, this is a very important conversation. We can talk about security, talk about health and the rest, but if we leave education out of it, then we're literally doing ourselves harm. We've seen the figures, and it paints a dire picture. But I'd like you to take us even deeper into the reality of things this morning. For those who might just think, figures, I mean, this is just figures. We see this time and again. Just how tricky is the situation we're in?
Yes, thank you very much. Let me first and foremost appreciate you for having me this morning. And let me also thank Nigerians and all stakeholders in this system of education for the opportunity given to us to be able to express our dismay and displeasure over the situation that we find ourselves in terms of lack of teachers in our respective school between primary and secondary school in Nigeria. It's a pathetic situation, and I want to appreciate UBEC even for coming up with this very statistic to show the whole world and even Nigerians that this is the deficit of the teachers that we're having in our primary and secondary school, even in Nigeria. It's no longer news that this must have happened because of lack of the political will by most of the state government to recruit teachers in our respective states that will mind our primary school cut across the country. Education is at the exclusive list, where state government has the right to recruit teachers that will teach in our public primary schools in Nigeria. And it will interest all of us to know that this state government that have stayed for over 10, 15 years without recruiting teachers. And day in, day out, teachers get retired, either by retirement or even by death. The number declined day in, day out. And no commensurate replacement that is put in place to be able to replace those that have retired or those that have died. These are the situation we find ourselves. This is the situation we find ourselves. And by so doing, if you stayed for a longer period without replacing or recruiting teachers into the service, what you expect is acute shortage of teachers. Yet the enrollment keep on increasing. So we are made to understand of recent that about 20 million children are out of school. But even at that, the schools are still vacant. You find teachers, a teacher will be teaching a class of about 50, 60, up to 100, him alone, because there are no teachers. And there are schools where you find the headmaster is the teacher that goes around to teach, and at the same time, he is the headmaster of that very school. And he has no option than to do that because there are no manpower. So that is the situation we find ourselves. So what UBEC has brought, I think they must have done their index analysis and must have come out with this very analogical, statistical data to show the deficit of teachers that we are having in our respective schools.
All right, Mr. Amba, talking about that UBEC report, actually, the gap is 194,876 teachers. That's a huge gap if you ask anyone in primary school. Do you think this has anything to do with remuneration of these teachers in these schools? Because if you ask anyone, I mean, primary school, those students are the hardest to teach. You have to be dedicated. You have to be happy as a teacher to be able to teach kids like that, because it's a very important, it's an important stage of their lives. Does this have to do with remuneration of these teachers?
Yes, I don't want to dive into issue of welfare at the first place now. I am trying to explain the reason why we are having this deficit of teachers in our schools. One, there is most state government don't recruit as at when due, and there is no day you wake up that teachers don't retire, either by age or by service or even by death. And the union did well by trying to engage the previous administration, President Muhammadu Buhari, to seek the face of seeing how retirement age of teachers would be approved either by service or by age. And the president then graciously granted us that very approval, where today, as we speak, the retirement age of primary and secondary school teachers in Nigeria supposed to be 65 years of age and 40 years of service. That has been granted since 2020. But it will interest all of us to know that as I speak today, only 15 to 16 states across the federation have key into this very policy. And if the union had fought it and we were graciously granted this very opening, I felt that we are trying to see how we can be able to retain the teachers in our respective school, bearing in mind that government don't recruit. But surprisingly, it becomes issue that we had to go hand in carpet pleading with government at the state level to see reason why they should implement already an accepted policy, already something that has already gone into all the necessary technicalities, and it was approved by President Muhammadu Buhari, our former president. Today, only 16 states, I think, 16 states in the federation have key into it. And we came out with this very thinking so that we can be able to retain our teachers, more especially retain the experienced ones in our respective school. Today, let me now go into the welfare the remuneration that you've mentioned. Today, it is clearly seen, or it is obvious, that most people that are going into the teaching profession are doing that not because of the interest they have for the job, but because there are lack of jobs elsewhere. You will see somebody telling you that, why you graduated since? Why are you just sitting there? Why can't you go and kind of maybe go into teaching? Why can't you go and teach? No minding whether you have the prerequisite qualification to go into the classroom and teach. The system permits that any graduate can just find himself in the classroom and begin to teach. And these are the situation. And in terms of retaining, you can make effort to retain teachers by increasing their take home. That is the welfare package. That is the remuneration. Here we are today. Now, of recent, you've heard that there are a good number of teachers that are champering out of the country for better jobs, for better teaching profession outside Nigeria. And it will surprise you if today most of our teachers are not well taken care of, are not well paid. Today I think today is 9th of April. If you take statistics in our state, you will find out that there are some states that are yet to pay primary school teachers.
All right, if I may butt in
yes.
quickly, so let's put some data in perspective. So global standard compared to Nigerian standard, what should be the ratio of teacher to students? Primary school, which is our focus right now.
Yes, 40 in a class per teacher. That is the standard. 40 per teacher is manageable. That is the normal standard. But today, if you take a statistic and go around our schools, more especially in the densely populated area, you will see teachers teaching pupils over 100 with one teacher in that very class. So how do you think that teacher will have the capacity of managing such a crowd in the class?
So I know
these are the situations.
All right, so I know someone is wondering, with the teachers training college and colleges of education, what really is happening? Because these are people that are supposed to be absorbed into the system. Now you've complained that governors are not recruiting teachers. Some states are not recruiting teachers. So when you sit down with them, is it a hybrid of lack of interest because of the poor remuneration and the issue of governors not recruiting more teachers? And when you speak with these leaders of states, what is their reason exactly for not recruiting teachers? Is it funds? What are they telling you?
You see, I said it that in governance, it is the political will that will drive you to be able to implement a policy or the other. Once you don't have that political will, that interest, it is in Nigeria that we speak about an issue by lip saying, but not really going into it to make sure that we do the needful that is there. If you touch any state governor, he will tell you that education is his priority, education is his priority, education. But if you go deep into what he's trying to do to make sure that, yes, education becomes his own priority, you will see that at the end of the day, there is nothing to show. You understand me? I keep on saying that, yes, building of classroom or schools should go pari passu with the welfare of teachers. If you build a classroom of gold and the teachers are not happy, you won't get what you want. That is the truth. Because you must think of the person that impacts the knowledge. What is his take home? Is he happy as a teacher if he's leaving his house to go and teach? Is he happy in the morning leaving his house to go and teach? Or he's going there with sadness? And once he leaves to the school with sadness, you should expect that he will put in his best in the classroom. So try to make the teacher very happy, very comfortable. And I assure you, even under a shirt, the teacher will be able to perform. He has the skill to be able to do that. So the issue is that once there is this political will by government, if government at the state level say, no, every year or every 2 years, I should be able to recruit a certain number of teachers to be able to replace those that have retired. Or no, listen, state student, take me statistical data of people's teacher ratio in your school, so that I should be able to identify the deficit of teachers that we have in our respective school and classroom, so that I can be able to see how I replace them. If that is done, we wouldn't have been speaking about acute shortage of teachers. By the statistic that UBEC showed, even if states should be able to recruit 5,000, those 5,000 teachers in our respective school will be able to bridge the gap a little bit.
All right,
but
Mr.
today
Amba.
I say it clear. Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. But today I said clearly that a good number of our states have stayed for longer period. It will interest you to know that there are states that have stayed for more than 10 years. And you could see between 10 years and today, even if you give birth to a child today, in the next 10 years, it should be somewhere else. And teachers are not being recruited. And if you take records, you will see that a good number of those teachers have even retired. And I want to sound it clearly, and I want to appeal to our state government. Please and please, the state that are yet to queue into this very retirement age of teachers that was fought by the Nigerian Union of Teachers and graciously granted us approval by the past administration under President Muhammadu, please, they should quickly do that so that we should be able to retain these teachers in our school. Hence, we cannot be able to recruit new ones. My brother there did mention that there are colleges of education and all whatnot. Yes, there are colleges of education split everywhere. In fact, in some local governments, even there are colleges of education. In state, there are state colleges of education. In the federal, there are federal colleges of education. As I speak, I think there is no state within this country that doesn't have a federal college of education.
Okay, Mr. Amba, let's quickly talk about, you have talked about recruiting teachers, but yes, let's also remember that in recruiting these teachers, how much investment is made into training those that have already been recruited. You also mentioned that some people just come because they don't have jobs. They just want to get something doing. So they get into teaching, the teaching profession. But do you also know that some of these people who were not previously interested in teaching, with good training, they can actually start liking or loving that profession, not just taking it because they want something to do. So how much investment, as what you are, a president of Deputy President NLC, Vice President Education International, West African region, you've seen how it's done even outside this country. How much investment are you advising government to put into training teachers in this country?
You see the benchmark, the UNESCO benchmark on allocation of funds for education is clearly 25% of the total budgetary allocation. Here we are today that in Nigeria and even in some states, the allocation does not even take us anywhere in terms of allocating funds to education. The primarily thing that we are talking about is that if you want to get it right in times of development, then you should take education serious. You should take the teaching profession serious. As you rightly said, for some of us, by His grace, we've traveled wide and near. We've seen how it was in other countries. If you go to Finland today, a teacher is the highest paid because they have made education to be a priority. It is only in this country that if you say you want to become a teacher, they will say, why must you go and teach now? Because the take home is very, very low. Once we decide to make the system, that's education, key as a priority, and we'll make the teacher too should be the main focal point where we take care of his own welfare, we take care of his people will be rushing. A lot of people will be rushing to come and pick teaching job, and they will put in their best. In terms of even training and retraining, yeah, we have been talking about it. The union is not quiet about it. We have been saying it. You don't recruit, you don't allow, because teaching profession is a continual thing. It is only in this profession of teaching that you don't have a time to rest. A teacher don't have a time to rest. If a teacher goes to school today and teaches and teach, if he close from school, he will come back home and begin to prepare against the lesson of tomorrow. So he doesn't even have time for that. So teaching profession is a continual thing. Government should be able to allocate funds for training and retraining, and it should be properly monitored. Properly monitored in the sense that you don't continue to circulate the same set of people. There should be a program where.
If I may button, my apologies, if I may button, because we're totally almost out of time. Almost 200,000 shortage or gap is a lot for our system. We need those teachers. So the concern here is, so I want to find out from you, if they are to motivate teachers a lot more better. We have heard the NLC say they will be talking 1 million naira as minimum wage. I know you cannot isolate yourself from minimum wage issue. How much do you think, given the fact that teachers do a lot according to what you said, what should be the minimum salary of a teacher? Let's begin to put that forward. And again, in addition to that, what is the NUT doing in terms of literal agitation, not just advocacy? Because when election cycle comes, sometimes we see teachers' unions say, union for this governorship candidate, union for that governorship candidate, and they're the ones suffering at the end of the day. The budget is slim on them, their remuneration is weak, and all of that. So what is the union going to do differently this time to make sure that these other states recruit teachers to close the gap? That's one question. Second question, how much should a teacher be paid minimum?
Yes, thank you for, let me start from the rear. What we are trying to do is now to start engaging our state government. Individually, we have agreed at our last National Executive Council meeting that we'll be able to pay a visit to most of these our state governors individually, so that we sit down with them and see the policy that they are putting in place in terms of teachers' welfare, in terms of education and all. In fact, I've directed all my state council that they should be able to liaise with their state governor, and where they find it difficult, they should be able to maybe notify us at the center so that we can now intervene by going down to such state governors and sitting down with them, discussing with them, telling them the importance of trying to put attention, more attention for the teaching profession, the education, and even the teacher himself. That is aside. And you've spoken about issue of what do we expect the teacher to take as a take-home. We are all Nigerians. In fact, we have been agitating for teacher salary structure for years. Even in the year 2020, where elongation of service was granted to us, there were some incentives that went in line with, attached with those very elongation. And up till now, nothing has been done. There is this special allowance that is to be paid for teachers in our respective school. There is this special allowance for teachers teaching science subject. There is this special allowance for teachers teaching in our rural area.
Right.
There are all these incentives are on ground, but the political will to implement is the issue.
Right.
And as leaders, when we start agitating, people will begin to say that we should be patient, right. And it will get to a stage whereby we can no longer be patient again. Issue of the minimum wage we are thinking, or the salary that we are thinking, you can't be able to peg it.
Right.
Because you know the economic situation that we are in the country. The Nigerian Union of Teachers is in line with what Labour Congress is agitating for.
So bottom line, teachers' reward should not be in heaven alone anymore. It should be on earth. Same for the workers.
It shouldn't be in heaven.
And all. But we'd like to thank you so much, Comrade. We're totally out of time. We'll be speaking with Comrade Audu, National President, NUT. That's the Nigerian Union of Teachers, Deputy President, NLC, and VP Education International West Africa Region. Thank you so much for your time and for the work you do as teachers. the country.
Thank you for having me.
We'll take a moment on the show. By the way, we have breaking news for you coming in very soon. But we also have an artist whose voice will definitely serenade you. You've seen him on The Voice Nigeria. You perhaps loved him as well. So we're having him live on the show. Plus, breaking news just about the public holiday, which we understand has been extended for yet another day. So stay with us right here on The Morning Brief. I don't know about you, but most people don't go a day without listening to some good music. It's part of our routine. You eat, you listen to good music, you work, and then you add the rest. And this morning we're bringing one of the brains, voices behind some good music in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us on The Morning Brief is Martins Esogwa, a singer, songwriter, but hey, we all know him as Marrz. Good morning, Marrz.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm tempted to say, are you from Marrz? You know, because that kind of talent is not from here. So what's the, obviously it's coming from your name, Martins.
It wasn't so obvious to a lot of people. I think you are just quite smart enough to pick that up.
I'll take that as a compliment, Marrz.
Yeah, it's partly gotten from Martins, and also I used to, like, one of my idols in the music industry, generally globally, is Bruno Marrz, actually.
Right.
So at some point people were calling me Bruno Marrz because I sounded a lot like him then. So yeah.
So Martins from Marrz, I mean, a lot of people have this story. So it looks like cliche right now when you say, oh, I started off in church, I was a drummer, I was this, I was this. Yeah. What is your own story? I hope it's not the church. What's your story?
It has to be the church.
Has to be, right?
I'm a choir boy. So yeah, it's started from the church, but I wouldn't say it's started from the church, because it's kind of started from home. Started from watching cartoons and trying to imitate the sounds and all that. So growing up from like 4 or 5, that was when I started trying to imitate the sounds that came from the cartoons, the Animaniacs, Voltron, all those theme songs and all that. So at some point, I found my own voice. So yeah, that's how it worked.
I mean, I have to give it to you, particularly the song that just played, the row, row, row your boat.
Yeah.
Can you just give me a feel of that song? I like the way the song actually bounces. We'll still listen to some of the other works you've done, but I need you to just give us that line. I love the way you put together those lyrics.
Okay, it goes, make you just stay row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. They mind my business, I know they feel stress, worry they kill person. Oh,
yeah, worry they kill person.
I love that.
I mind my business.
We're gonna let worry kill me. We saw you on The Voice Nigeria. A lot of people rooting for you, and you did well. I must say, you did so well with your vocals and the rest. But I know a lot of people want to hear this thing you did, so let's listen to it. Then we'll come back. It was a cover you did for Johnny Drill's song. It was like a duet, right? Yeah. So let's listen to that, because they will not let us rest. So let's listen to that, and then we'll come more for this conversation.
Say me not believe you. Me, I know say JD won't deceive you with sweet voice, but I be straight to the point like a dimple, yeah. I for say make you look into my eyes, body for my tongue cast. Too many local hunters. Girl, you blow my mind, oh bomb blast. Make we day like Captain Smith and the Pocahontas. The reason me speed fatal enough. Give me the rhythm of beating on me heart. Reactivating the melodies in my brain. No long thing you take me breath away, Say me get go mad, your body soft and smooth, Give me a night to cook, and I swear, my baby, you go like my stew, yeah. What have you done to me? I don't know.
no doubt that you're a vocalist. And in this time when rhythm and bouncing to vibes is a lot more than, what people say, how does it affect you in terms of your delivery?
I think you just have to adapt. You have to adapt to whatever the society accepts the most, kind of, and in a way still find and stick to your originality. So for me, I am someone that wherever I find myself, I always try to blend in. I try to learn at the same time, still staying unique and true to my craft, actually, still maintaining originality. So I find a way to find the balance in between all three, so it doesn't really affect me that much.
Well, let's talk about your experience at The Voice Nigeria. What was it like? I mean, was that the first time you ever had to face judges or face the whole Nigeria trying to show what you've got inside of you? What was the whole experience like for you?
Oh, well, it was amazing. It was a beautiful experience for me. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't the first time. Okay. I have tried many other talent shows. I've gone a bit far in some others. I've been on Nigerian Idol. There was Access to Stars. I've tried for Project Fame as well. So there has been years of trying and failing. So that's... Because I believe that failure is part of success, actually. So being on The Voice Nigeria was amazing, again, I would say, because the talents around me, when you have greatness around me, wherever I go, I always try to say this, it's because it's fact. The crop of talents on the show, it's like they were very, very great in their own way. They were excellent. It was like a mix, a blend of excellence in different forms. So it was greatness for me being in the midst of such talents, actually.
So that added some color to your own industry or to the style. Did you get influenced by any of them, their styles?
Always. I wouldn't say influence is the word, but I always pick a thing or two from the people around me in terms of your craft or in terms of even the non-music parts, maybe in the character, you understand? There's the business aspect of the music. I always try to pick a thing or two from people's minds and talents as well.
There's a lot to do to break into that space. We saw you at The Voice, and some people will say, okay, winners don't actually become so much. It is the people who maybe is first and second runner-up and all of that. But at the end of the day, the music industry is a very tough space. It involves a lot of spending, a lot of money, but fundamentally it's about talent. What are you looking at to... as maybe, I don't want to use the word gimmick, but allow me to use it in this context, to break in and be noticed, to be that one of the voices that we now have in this space?
For me, as you said, talent is fundamental, but I think consistency is something to be highlighted as well, and that's part of my, what I say, gimmick, because I've tried over the years to be consistent. I think with time you get noticed for your consistency, and when that spotlight comes on you, people now zoom in properly and say that, okay, there's actually talent.
The reason I was saying that is that I know you are picking elements here and there.
Yeah.
People want some level of identity to follow. So if we look at a David, look at a Burner, we look at a Waze, we look at Kiss, and all of it. We have some identity, some things we can follow. That is exactly what I'm asking for you, because when eventually you get that spotlight, people want to be able to follow something. What will it be in terms of your sound, in terms of your delivery?
Okay, I think what my brand stands for is the ability to connect to my audience. There's the soul part of it. Regardless of an up-tempo, mid-tempo beat, there's always that soul in whatever I'm saying, and there's always that sincerity, relatability in terms of my vocal delivery and also in terms of my lyrics. Just like he highlighted now, roll your boat, there's always something to be able to relate to, whether in the past, present, or future. So yes, I think that's it for me.
So let's talk about the future for you. Have you put out an album yet? Just yet? Well, I know answers to this question for your fans. Let me ask you, have you put out an album? What are we expecting from you this year? Yeah, The Voice, yeah, you did great. You're leveraging on that, but we want to know what the future holds for you.
Okay, yes, I have a body of work, an EP actually. It's a 4-tracked EP titled Foreplay. That's 4 as in F-O-U-R, and play, which is a word play between, whatever.
I'm happy explaining.
Thank you.
Thank you for explaining.
Yes, I had
what
to.
were you guys thinking?
Nothing. It's just number 4.
Okay.
Yes, so the project is when you listen to the project, in terms of melodies, in terms of delivery, in terms of lyrics, like there's always that depth to whatever lyrics I'm putting out there. And the EP contains happiness, cruise, worry, and peace, which are all 4 songs are bordering.
Can you say that again?
Happiness, cruise, worry, and peace.
Okay. Wow.
So the whole idea is your happiness comes first, and that's the first track on the EP. And everything boils down to your peace of mind, and that's the last track on the EP. So there's always this underlying message, whether in my titles, in my music, in my lyrics, in my melodies. There's always something buried somewhere. So my true audience are the people who like in-depth stuff, who like hidden treasures.
You're young.
Yeah.
And you're trying to be as deep as possible. Is this from your church background? What exactly is going on? We have noticed it. That's why we're looking at you like you're pretty young for what you're trying to do.
Well, I think maybe it's my community and the people. I think I've lived with a lot of wise people, I would say.
A lot of wise people. Is Timi Dakolo one of those wise people? Because I know you said you picked some songs from. Tell us about that.
Yes, I wrote about, I was one of the co-writers. I co-wrote about 5 songs, 5 tracks off his The Chorus Leader album, and it was amazing. It was an amazing experience because Timi Dakolo is one of my idols in the Nigerian music space. So having the opportunity to work with him in the same setting, man, that was like a dream come true. So I believe wishes do come true.
That's quite interesting. I think we might want to just listen to a bit of more of what you have done. So, well, hey.
Let's hear that.
Let's go to Marrz, shall we?
I like that.
Take us.
You hide under the surface, like troubled water running cold. Time can heal, but this won't.
Marrz taking us to Marrz and back.
You know what I like about Marrz? He has the melody, the tune. So it's not just about beats, sounds that people use to just compensate what they do not have. You have almost everything. Do you rap too?
Actually, I started off as a rapper.
You see?
There you go.
You in a restaurant.
Oh, come on.
I needed to ask what you did not do.
Do you have the vehicles to go to Marrz?
In the works.
I like that. So,
wow.
You mentioned Timi Dakolo. We've seen your duet with Bruno Marrz. So are you sort of picking the people you work with? Because I imagine a lot of people say, oh, I want to work with Burna Boy. I want to work with Davido. It's like you have to mention the big 4, the big 6, or the big 10 at this point, so you don't get into any online war. So are you picky, or you can work with anybody? So if it's Davido, bring him on. If it's Burna, if it's Ashake, if it's Kiz, let's do this.
Okay, so I'm quite intentional about my craft, which also reflects in the kind of people I work with. So as much as I am looking for that spotlight and that visibility, I'm still quite picky about people I work with because I want to, I have a certain identity I want to have, the kind of people I want to be affiliated with, or I want my name to come up whenever a discussion comes up. So I'm hopeful. Yes, the big 4, I'm very...
I don't know if they are the big 4. Please.
What kind of day? Why they say
Oh yeah, I get the point. You can say big 4.
Yeah, so yes, I'm a big fan of all of them. whoever you have in your mind. I'm not going to mention names, but I'm a big fan, and I respect their crafts. Also, I respect the likes of Odumodu. Yes, I do. I see true talent. I see when something that is not so like is not so conspicuous.
Right.
I can see right through it, and I feel
Portable.
I feel Portable is actually also talented in his own way. So that is art is when you bring 3 different paintings now, I could tell you this is rubbish. I'll tell you that is rubbish, and that rubbish can sell for about $80 million. So that's what art is. So I believe it appeals to different people differently, and I've seen through people like Portable, even Charlie Poppy. I believe they're brilliant artists, actually.
Well, there's no way we're going to have you with this depth of mind and beautiful sound, and you're not going to sing for us. So maybe you're going to sing. I don't know. What would you like to do? Should we give you something to do?
Do you want to freestyle, or you want us to give you a name of maybe a song?
I already know the song I want him to do.
What
I sang some part of it already earlier on. That's one of my favorites from him.
No,
okay, maybe
row your boat. That would be my own.
Maybe the part of the duet you did with Johnny Drill. What was that song again?
Believe Me by Johnny Drill.
Maybe you dropped out. Just your own side.
Okay, it goes, baby girl, I say me no dey lie. When me say me no fit leave you. Me, I know say JD won't deceive you with sweet voice, but I'll be straight to the point like a dimple, yeah. I forsake make you. Okay, do you want to?
You know why? Because obviously it's just something he did.
Freestyle. How does freestyle feel for you? Can you freestyle?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so freestyle. Give us something.
So it goes.
Do you need beats? Right?
No, not really.
Okay,
so let me do this. Shawty no believe me 'cause the brother never blow. Oh no. Shawty no go see me 'cause I never get the dough. Oh no. Say na money where I no get, I no kill the person. Oh no. Say the bobo never handsome because he no get something for hand. Eh? I like the way he gets me actually.
Just imagine this tune with maybe a Johnny Drill, a Kiss Daniel, a maybe Simi.
Right.
Let's see another person who has that,
that texture. Tiwa Savage, maybe.
So let me ask you a question I asked me some time ago. Are you a singer that tells story or a storyteller that sings?
I think Mr. Bennett Ogbewi once called me a storyteller, so I think I'll stick with that. That
storyteller that sings. Oh boy.
So it's not just a storyteller, it's not just a singer, it's not just a fantastic vocalist. A lot of things wrapped together in one, and we could tell you for free that this man, we give him a couple of months, years maybe.
He'll blow.
Yes, there's a level of blowing. Maybe I don't like that term blow. Because
it's our thing.
It's our thing. That's
but we look forward to seeing you on the big stages.
Thank you
Bigger
so much.
stages, I should say. We've been speaking with Marrz Zasogwa. We know him as Marrz, singer, songwriter, vocalist, storyteller, and the list goes on and on. Thank you so much, Marrz, for coming.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay, wow. We still have a public holiday on Thursday, April 11th, for those who are already excited to have it today. So you have today, you have tomorrow, and then you have Thursday, which has been declared by the federal government as public holiday in celebration of Eid al-Fitr. And this is also to say happy celebration from tomorrow to all our Muslim brothers and sisters. We hope, I almost wanted to wear my jalabia today, but I'll wait for the Salah before I do that. So thank you very much for watching today's edition of The Morning Brief. We'll definitely be back again tomorrow. I'm Anne Nwawodu.
Of course, whilst you're enjoying your holidays, we'll be here to do the work and make sure you have a good time on TV. Thank you for watching. I'm Jeff Ruzonga.
Absolutely. And just for the context, the crescent was not sighted in Saudi Arabia on Tuesday, meaning that the Eid celebration will take place on Wednesday, and that's why the federal government added an extra day to this. We'll have that conversation later. Sunrise Daily is next in about a couple of minutes. I can see the team is ready to go on this one. So stay with Channels Television. I'm Kayode Okikele. Goodbye.